Chapter 1. Dylan, with a determined gaze, accepted the raider's proposition. "Gold and safe passage shall be granted," he declared, "but the secrets within the plans of Jasper shall be revealed for the benefit of Amos and the interconnected creativity that defines Veridaegis Castle." The dance of progress and revelation continues, and the transformative power of knowledge shall guide our journey in Veridaegis. The captured raider, now an unexpected source in the settlers' quest for understanding, began to unfold the intricate details of Jasper's grand plans. The courtyard, once a battlefield, became a space of strategic discourse as the settlers prepared to delve into the depths of innovation and deception hidden within the plans of Jasper. The complex dance of Veridaegis Castle continued, fueled by the interconnected creativity that transcended the boundaries of conflict and collaboration. Within the grand hall of Veridaegis Castle, Aaron Sawyer, the strategic luminary, sat across from the raider with synchronic swords. The captured raider, adorned in platinum armor, exuded a sense of intrigue as the atmosphere crackled with the weight of revelation. Dylan E.T., with tempo and rhythm in hand, stood nearby, overseeing the unfolding dialogue. Aaron leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the raider. "Speak, raider. Enlighten us with the intricacies of Jasper's plans. What does the raider ruler seek to achieve, and how do her ambitions intertwine with the destiny of Veridaegis Castle?" The raider, skittish in the present settlers' unity, took a deep breath before divulging the grand tapestry of Jasper aspirations. "Jasper," the raider began, "envisions Raider City as the epicenter of transformative power, not just through conquest but through innovation and manipulation. Her plans extend beyond the mere acquisition of territory, they are a symphony of technological advancement, strategic brilliance, and linguistic mastery." Dylan E.T. nodded in acknowledgement, encouraging the raider to continue. "Jasper's vision involves the integration of 3D signaling into cannons, a groundbreaking approach to warfare. The cannons, once limited to conventional methods, will now harness the transformative capabilities of 3D technology, creating a force that transcends the ordinary. This integration marks the dawn of a new era in Raider City's military capabilities." Aaron absorbed the information, recognizing the significance of such innovation. The integration of 3D signaling into cannons, he mused, offers a strategic advantage that goes beyond traditional methods. How does Jasper plan to wield this technological leap in the realm of warfare? The raider continued, "Jasper envisions cannons infused with 3D signaling not only as weapons of destruction but as tools of manipulation. The synchronized patterns of 3D will serve as a language, a form of communication that goes beyond the physical realm. Raiders, guided by these patterns, will have a heightened ability to coordinate and adapt on the battlefield, creating a linguistic tapestry of war that confounds and overwhelms opponents." Dylan, intrigued by the fusion of technology and linguistic symbolism, interjected, "Jasper indeed seeks to reshape the dynamics of the raider's conflict ability. But what of the synchronic swords? How do they fit into her grand plans?" The raider's eyes gleamed with a mix of reverence and caution. The synchronic swords, masterpieces within the Amos framework, are not mere weapons, they are symbols of Jasper's linguistic prowess. She envisions the raiders wielding these swords not only in physical combat but as tools of manipulation, much like the cannons. The hilts are encoded with linguistic patterns that guide the raider in a dance of strategic brilliance, turning the battlefield into a narrative woven with the principles of Amos. Aaron pondered the implications. So, the raiders are progressing as warriors and storytellers on the battlefield. Jasper's approach is one of manipulation and strategic brilliance, using both technology and linguistic artistry. The raider nodded, yes. Jasper's ambition transcends traditional warfare. Raider City, under her guidance, becomes a forge of innovation where the principles of Amos shape not only the physical landscape but also the narrative of conflict. Dylan E.T., with a thoughtful expression, concluded, Jasper's plans are a convergence of technology, linguistic mastery, and I believe, strategic deception. The integration of 3D-GR signaling into cannons and the utilization of synchronic swords create a multifaceted approach to warfare, reshaping the very essence of conflict within Raider City. Chapter 2. Theodora knelt in the chamber, her hands resting on the cool stone altar etched with luminescent glyphs. Around her, the energies of Biofexry Castle hummed with a soft resonance, mirroring the calm determination that filled her heart. Dylan E.T. stood nearby, his heart 3D-GR emitting faint pulses of green light as he observed her preparations. Outside the castle, dawn was breaking over the forests of Veridaegis, but within the chamber, time felt suspended. They had granted safe passage to the raider emissary, a decision met with skepticism by many, and Kath had already departed on her quest to the Silent Moons. Yet Theodora's thoughts were focused elsewhere, on the looming shadow of Raider City and the woman who commanded its relentless machine, Jasper, the raider ruler. Jasper stood atop the highest spire of Raider City, her gaze sweeping over the sprawling metropolis of steel and neon below. The hum of 3D-GR cannons and the rhythmic pulse of raider machinery filled the air, a testament to her vision and control. Yet, as the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, she closed her eyes and allowed her psychic third eye to open. She had felt it before, the subtle pull of Theodora's presence, a gentle thread of energy tugging at the edges of her mind. Now, she would not wait for Theodora to reach her. With a mental clarity sharpened by years of unyielding ambition, she extended her focus across the ether, bridging the distance between them. In the depths of Biofexry Castle, Theodora's third eye flared to life, her energy intertwining with Jasper's in a luminous connection that spanned the miles between them. The psychic plane they created was vast and ever-shifting, a surreal landscape of light and shadow shaped by their opposing wills. Jasper appeared in the psychic space as a towering figure, her obsidian armor gleaming with an unnatural light. Her third eye burned with a sharp blue intensity, casting long, jagged shadows that danced across the void. "Theodora," she said, her voice a blade slicing through the stillness. "You continue to overreach. Have you not learned that your balance is no match for my strength?" Theodora's form emerged across from her, a serene figure draped in soft gold and green, her third eye radiating a gentle, undulating light. Around her, the essence of the forest materialized, branches weaving into fractal patterns, streams of energy flowing with quiet wisdom. "Strength without balance is brittle, Jasper," she replied, her voice calm yet unyielding. "You wield your power like a hammer, but even the strongest tools break without care for the foundation they strike against." Jasper's aura flared, the edges of her presence crackling with frustration. "My foundation is unbreakable," she retorted. "The rebels are banished, their whispers silenced. Raider City thrives under my rule, a testament to what ambition and discipline can achieve. Your harmony is weakness, a relic of a past that has no place in the world I'm shaping. Theodora stepped closer, her energy flowing like a river that refused to be dammed. Raider City may thrive for now, Jasper, but at what cost? You speak of silence, but rebellion is not so easily erased. It lingers in the hearts of those you rule, growing in the shadows you cannot see. You have built a city of steel, but steel alone cannot endure the storms of destiny. Jasper's psychic form surged forward, her voice laced with biting certainty. Destiny is not something I endure, Theodora. It is something I command. My raiders follow because they understand the price of progress. Fear, strength, and control are the pillars of my empire, and they will hold firm long after your ideals crumble to dust. Theodora's third eye glowed brighter, her aura expanding with the force of her conviction. Control is a fragile illusion, Jasper. Fear may compel obedience, but it cannot inspire trust or loyalty. Your raiders may follow out of necessity, but necessity breeds resentment. You see their silence as strength, but I see the cracks forming beneath the surface. Jasper laughed, the sound sharp and cutting. You speak of cracks, but I see none. My city is a monument to unyielding will. Your rebels thought they could undermine me, and now they are nothing more than ghosts. What power do you think your words hold, Theodora, when I have silenced every voice that dared to oppose me? Theodora stepped closer, her aura brushing against Jasper's with a softness that belied its strength. Words are not just sounds, Jasper. They are seeds. They take root in the minds of those who hear them, growing even in the harshest conditions. You may have silenced voices, but you cannot silence thought. And thought, Jasper, is more powerful than any cannon or sword. The psychic plane began to shift, reflecting the tension between them. Jasper's constructs, sharpened towers and whirling data streams, glimmered with precision, but they were rigid, their edges beginning to fray. Around Theodora, the essence of the forest expanded, roots and vines weaving through the cracks, softening the harsh landscape. Jasper's third eye flared, her voice tinged with both anger and uncertainty. You think you can sow doubt in me, Theodora. I have no time for doubt. Doubt is the weakness of those who lack vision. Theodora's gaze softened, her voice carrying a quiet strength. Doubt is not weakness, Jasper. It is the beginning of wisdom. It is the space where reflection lives, where choices are made with purpose. Your vision is grand, but it is blind to the truth that strength without trust is a storm that will devour itself. For a moment, Jasper's psychic form wavered, her sharp edges blurring as Theodora's words sank in. Theodora pressed on, her voice a steady rhythm. You have the power to shape more than an empire of steel. You can build something lasting, something that endures not through fear but through trust and connection. But to do so, you must first let go of your need for absolute control. The psychic connection began to fray, the shared plane dissolving into darkness. Jasper opened her eyes atop the spire of Raider City, the cold light of dawn casting sharp shadows across her face. For the first time, her unyielding resolve faltered, a faint flicker of doubt piercing her mind. In Biofexry Castle, Theodora exhaled, the glow of the glyphs around her fading as the connection severed. Dylan stepped forward, his staff resting lightly on the ground. Did she listen? He asked, his voice low. Theodora nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. She listened. But whether she understands, only time will tell. Dylan placed a steadying hand on her shoulder, his presence a quiet anchor. Then we prepare. The seeds you've planted may take time to grow, but even the mightiest storm cannot stop the forest's return. Theodora gazed toward the horizon, where the faint glow of Raider City pulsed like a distant heartbeat. The storm is not over, she murmured, but perhaps, for the first time, the winds are shifting. Chapter 3. The rainforest stretched endlessly before Kath, a tangled maze of verdant chaos. The canopy above swallowed the light, dousing the world beneath in a perpetual twilight. Droplets of rain slid down the broad leaves, their rhythmic drumming a counterpoint to her measured steps. Her boots sank slightly into the soft, mossy earth, leaving behind fleeting imprints that the jungle would soon reclaim. Each step carried her further from the shadow of Biofexry Castle and deeper into the perilous unknown. Kath paused at the base of a towering ceiba tree, its sprawling roots forming natural alcoves. She unslung her bladed bow, a masterpiece of craftsmanship and artifice gifted to her by Dylan E.T. The weapon gleamed faintly, its curves a marriage of elegance and lethality. Its obsidian blades shimmered with an iridescent hue, while the central bowstring pulsed faintly, as if alive, with the energy coursing through it. She crouched, running her fingers over the intricate carvings etched into the weapon. Each glyph told a story, some ancient, some her own. Her heart 3DGR, embedded within her armor, resonated faintly, an almost imperceptible hum that seemed to sync with the bow's energy. Kath leaned back against the tree, her amber eyes narrowing as she studied the weapon in her hands. The blade's edge is not just steel, it is purpose, and mine has yet to find its clarity, she murmured, her voice barely audible over the jungle's symphony. Her thoughts turned inward, to the bond between her and this weapon. The pommel of the bladed bow bore the unmistakable imprint of a 3DGR binding site, a direct conduit to the one in her chestplate. Dylan E.T. had spoken of this connection when he handed her the weapon, his voice solemn as he explained its significance. This bow is more than a tool, Kath, Dylan E.T. had said, his steel-gray eyes locking onto hers. It will not obey unless you make it an extension of yourself. The binding between your heart and the weapon's core isn't just for control, it's for trust. Code your actions with precision, and it will respond as though it is your own limb. But falter, and it will betray you. The memory faded, leaving her alone with the weapon and the enormity of her task. She traced the pommel's 3DGR binding site with her gloved thumb, the faint glow of her heart 3DGR intensifying as if in response. Swordplay, she mused aloud, her voice tinged with determination. Not just the art of combat, but the art of understanding. Each strike must be deliberate, each motion a language written in steel and sinew. If I cannot master this, how can I face the rebels? She stood abruptly, the bow transforming in her grip. With a soft hum, its obsidian blades extended, gleaming like liquid night. She twirled it experimentally, the weapon's weight shifting seamlessly to match her movements. The connection between her heart 3DGR and the weapon flared, and for a brief moment, she felt a flood of data rush into her consciousness, a language of motion and intent encoded in light. A deep breath steadied her. Swordplay is not about the weapon alone, she said, the words a mantra to herself. It is about the bond, the rhythm between my heart and its pulse. She moved into an open glade, the ground carpeted with soft moss. The jungle's sounds seemed to dim as she closed her eyes, her focus narrowing to the hum of her weapon and the beat of her heart. With a fluid motion, she swung the bladed bow, its blade slicing through the air in a graceful arc. She pivoted, the weapon shifting forms mid-swing into a taut bow, its string glowing as if charged with her intent. An invisible arrow formed and released, striking a distant tree with a crackle of energy. Kath exhaled sharply, her eyes snapping open. The connection was fleeting, tenuous. She could feel the weapon resist her, testing her resolve. Her heart 3DGR pulsed erratically, mirroring her frustration. She lowered the bow and pressed a hand to her chest plate. "I have to stop fighting it," she admitted, her voice soft but resolute. "This weapon isn't a tool, it's a partner. And I cannot force a partner to follow me. I must lead. By trusting it, as it must trust me." She knelt once more, placing the bladed bow on the ground before her. Resting her palms atop its blades, she closed her eyes and let her breathing slow. The rainforest around her seemed to breathe with her, its rhythm matching her own. Gradually, the hum of her heart 3DGR steadied, its resonance merging with the bow's. The connection strengthened, a thread woven between her essence and the weapon's core. When she opened her eyes, the bow shimmered faintly, its light now synchronized with her own. She rose, lifting the weapon with newfound resolve. The path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, but she felt a flicker of clarity within. "The rebels think they can hide in this jungle," she said, her voice firm and steady. "But I will find them. Not as a warrior with a weapon, but as a force with purpose. The bladed bow and I, we will be unstoppable." With that, she set off once more, her steps more confident, her heart and weapon in unison. The rainforest seemed to part before her, the path ahead no longer a labyrinth but a challenge waiting to be conquered. Chapter 4. The rainforest buzzed with life as thick, verdant canopies stretched above, filtering sunlight into fractured emerald shards. The dense air shimmered with moisture, carrying the scent of damp earth and sap, mingled with the faint metallic tang of the 3DGR framework that made up every leaf, vine, and bough. Lucy Stern crouched low in a thicket of fractal ferns, her breath steady despite the throbbing tension that tightened her chest. Beside her, Neville Fallow adjusted the straps on his satchel, the fragment of the process artifact he carried emitting a faint pulse, resonating with the unseen structure of the rainforest around them. Hallam Cathian stood sentinel, his blade-like features rigid as his eyes scanned the underbrush for threats. "Jasper's raiders won't stop," Lucy murmured, her voice low but sharp as a blade. She pressed her palm to the fragment embedded into her forearm, the fourth piece of the artifact. She could feel its quiet hum, its arcane circuitry almost teasing her with withheld secrets. "They're too entrenched in Raider City now," Hallam said, his voice a mixture of bitterness and determination. He clenched his fist, where the standard form fragment rested in a spherical housing, its sharp edges occasionally glinting with faint blue light. "Jasper's got her signaling cannon and her army. She doesn't need to chase us when she knows we'll eventually stumble into her web." Neville, ever calm and deliberate, leaned against a moss-covered trunk. The moss, like everything else in Veridaegis, glinted with subtle geometric patterns, reminders of the planet's true nature. He adjusted his glasses and looked up at the others. Which is why we can't let her predict us. Going back to Biofexry Castle is the obvious move. She'll expect it. That's why we don't go there." Lucy looked at him, her steel gray eyes narrowing. "Then where do we go?" "We're fugitives, Neville. The entire planet is threaded with raider eyes and ears. There's nowhere left to hide." "There's one place," Hallam interjected. He gestured toward the looming silhouette of Mount Veridian on the horizon, its peak shrouded in perpetual mist. "The mountain. The jungle beneath its slopes is so dense even the raiders wouldn't dare venture in too deep. That gives us a chance to regroup, maybe even figure out what to do with these fragments." Lucy glanced at the mountain, her jaw tightening. Something about it seemed to pulse faintly in the back of her mind, as though her fragment was responding to an unseen presence deep within. She shook it off. "Fine," she said. "But we move carefully. Jasper might still have scouts in the jungle." The trio wove through the dense terrain of the rainforest, each step taking them further from the chaos of Raider City. The 3DGR composition of the landscape became more pronounced the deeper they ventured, vines twined into hyper-detailed geometric spirals, trees stretched in unnatural symmetry, their trunks composed of infinite tessellations. It was as if the planet was revealing its essence, layer by layer. At night, they gathered around a small, shielded flame, its light casting shifting geometric shadows on the forest floor. Neville pulled out his fragment, the additive manufacturing module. "This piece," he began, turning it in his hands, "is more than a tool. It's a map of possibilities. With it, I can manipulate the existing 3DGR structures, add to them, reshape them. If we knew the full scope of the artifact, we could." He trailed off, his voice tinged with reverence. "We could what?" Lucy pressed. "Build," Neville said simply. "Anything. A city. A weapon. A civilization." Hallam, sharpening his blade with quiet precision, chimed in. "Or destroy. Let's not forget that part." Lucy tightened her grip on her fragment. The fourth piece, the one that held the key to designing networks of the 3DGR, felt heavier in her hands as Neville spoke. She glanced at Hallam. "And your fragment? It's the foundation of it all, right?" "The blueprint." Hallam nodded. "The dimensions, the edges, the vertices. Without this, there's no structure. No balance. Everything falls apart." Lucy sighed, the weight of their task pressing down on her. "We have pieces of something so much bigger than ourselves. And yet we don't even know its purpose." As the days passed, the forest grew darker, the canopy thicker. The trio began to notice subtle changes in their surroundings. The air felt heavier, charged with a faint hum that resonated deep in their bones. The geometric patterns in the trees and vines became more complex, almost organic in their movements. One night, as they rested near a shallow stream, Lucy woke to a strange sound, a low, guttural hum that seemed to rise from the earth itself. She sat up, clutching her fragment. The hum grew louder, a vibration that seemed to echo within her skull. "Neville," she hissed, shaking him awake. "Do you hear that?" Neville bolted upright, his fragment glowing faintly. "It's coming from below," he whispered. Hallam was already awake, his fragment shimmering with an eerie blue light. "It's like the planet itself is speaking." The hum grew into a faint melody, dissonant and haunting. Lucy's fragment vibrated against her skin, the patterns on its surface shifting as if responding to the unseen force. She stood, her heart pounding. "There's something beneath us," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and awe. "Something alive." Neville frowned. Alive. Or something else. Hallam stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the ground. "Whatever it is, it's pulling us toward the mountain." Lucy clenched her fists, staring at Mount Veridian in the distance. The hum faded, but the feeling remained, a nagging sense of destiny pulling them toward the unknown. "We keep moving," she said, her voice firm. "Whatever's waiting for us beneath that mountain, it's the key. I can feel it." Unbeknownst to the rebels, the Blackwater caverns beneath Mount Veridian held secrets older than the surface of Veridaegis itself. The Murlocs, subterranean humanoids shaped by the planet's core, stirred in their ancient halls, sensing the disturbance above. They were the guardians of the 3DGR network, the stewards of a power the rebels had barely begun to comprehend. As Lucy, Neville, and Hallam continued their journey, the fragments they carried began to align, their energies resonating with the caverns below. The rainforest, vibrant and alive, was merely the surface of a deeper, darker truth. The trio's journey was only beginning. The echoes of the Blackwater caverns called to them, promising answers, and dangers they could scarcely imagine.